Next we might skip. All right, what's happening, everybody? Welcome to the Show. I am Rick, your host. It's been about a month since our last podcast, and
Yep.
we've been busy. Donnie's been in like Oregon. Where have you
Yes.
been?
Oregon mostly, and working out of Tri Cities. Had a big Macy's project that we were doing for my company.
It's crazy. And then he shows up in crutches. I'm like,
Yeah.
this, your work is killing you.
Yeah.
um, man, I've been super busy too. We've been running around, getting ready for concrete, and a whole bunch of work going on. So, like, there's like 5, 6 jobs I'm juggling, but they all kind of when one stops, the other one conveniently starts, and then waiting for concrete. So as things get subbed out, but it has been like super busy. Last night I was um my guys are tired of digging because it's brutal. You got these rocks that are like hundreds of pounds. You got to get out of the way. They've been doing a lot of digging. Anyway, they couldn't find the water line, so I show up and uh, I, I was digging, and I got to the point where I was just exhausted, and I know my guys are, but and I kind of was like, man, I feel kind of weird, and I guess I don't know if it's your blood sugar or what, but I was like, I feel like I'm about to pass out. So I was like,
Man.
I need to stop. I need to stop. These 18-hour days. Because I'll even be here at Rick's and it's like coming up on 10, 11 o'clock. So I'm doing construction during the day and I'm here and I'm like nodding off.
That's not good.
Like I'm just grinding it, burning the candle on both ends. And I do love work. Um, I do love being active. It just I'm not now I'm becoming normal. Uh, I used to be called that. I'm not human in the military. They're like, he's not human. Because I could grind, I can work. I just have that little extra manic in my DNA that I can push and push.
Yeah.
When others are falling away, I'm still there working. But yeah, 49 years old, I'm noticing I can't quite do. And I think after I broke the 4 ribs, I feel good, but I notice my stamina is a little bit off,
Yeah.
from that recovery. But um, I've been going to the gym again. I'm about 10% shy of being back where I was, but yeah, life is an adventure. Um,
Got that right.
yeah, Donnie, the cancer survivor, and here I'm like, I have it so rough, Donnie. I have it so rough. You don't know what it's like. Yeah, but yeah, it's what a wild ride. We I mean, life just throws all sorts of stuff at you. Mentally, I've been thinking a lot about like personal development.
Yeah.
And mentally, I try not to call anything a challenge. I try not to call anything hard
Yeah.
because if you say it's hard and you say it's a problem, then it's a problem.
Yep.
So I try to be like, that's no big deal. I try to, frame my mind in a way that it's not a trial. It's not a problem. It only is if I say it is. So,
Yeah.
so I kind of maneuver that way. And don't get me wrong, there's obstacles in life. I get it. And you just it all depends how you frame it and what you look at it and do. But I got divorced, man. I mean, it's been over 3 years, and I was like, to start over in life, like I had to rent a room. I was like, how am I going to pay for 2 households? Rented a room and whatever. But I was like, I look back and go, wow, I've accomplished, kind of starting over in life quite a bit. And uh, you have your ups and downs, but it's like the consistency. I
Yeah.
keep going, I keep pushing, I keep doing. So, um, but I think that's just, my nature to keep trying. I believe in opportunities.
Yes. Yes.
Everywhere I look, I see an opportunity. And um, like real estate, home prices have been kind of low. I've been like making offers and low ball and stuff, and sometimes they hit. I was like, I'm like, no way, because these people, for whatever reason, since I'm a builder, I can fix it. So I'm like, but I'm finding deals that pencil, and I haven't found deals that pencil in a long time. So, uh, and there's deals that they say, no way, no way. And I was like, well, what about all your other investors? Well, they say it's too much work. And I go, yeah, I, I can't pay you that much for it. It's too much work. I'm on their side. And they're like, oh, we're going to hold our price. And I was like, all right, you'll be holding it for a while. You know, you might find somebody that'll pay a little bit more, but yeah, it's interesting. But there are many opportunities happening, and even in real estate. I mean, uh, you can find things that people will sell or finance
Yeah.
sometimes at 5%, and you're like, hey, that's cheaper than a regular interest rate right now. And then there's others that won't. But I try to make the deal or the offer. The worst they can do is say no, um, or get feedback and decide if it's worth pursuing or not. I do a lot of verbal stuff too. I'm like, hey, go see if they'll take this. And if they'll even have a conversation, then I could move forward with it. But I'm like, I don't, it's just trying to figure out, who will play ball and who won't. But there's opportunities out there, folks. Not just real estate, but that's just one thing that I've noticed that there are some deals, and um, if people know you're into that type of thing, I mean, they'll bring you stuff too. People be like, "Hey, I got this thing." You know, they want they're asking 235, but they'll take less than two for it. And you're like, interesting. You know, um, where normally it's harder to do that type of thing. But anyway, lots of opportunities out there, folks. Not that you want to hear about real estate and the different opportunities out there, but um, I've seen some deals.
And that's really funny too, because there is a lot of opportunity out there.
Yeah.
You just got to look. And I don't know how many men, 'cause I'm involved in mentorship, and how many men will just sit there on their, what's it called, rest on their laurels and not go out there and find something. Like, dude, you're this broke for how long? Like, you can do something about it. This is the land of opportunity. It really, really is.
It has its headaches too, but
Oh, yeah,
but
lots of headaches.
there's lots of opportunity out there. Um, but I'm just I think I'm more open to it than most people, so I can kind of maneuver, weave, see what people have going on. Um, People bring me stuff. I hate to call myself even a mentor, but there's people that are like, I'm with my mentor. I hear him on the phone. I'm with my mentor right now. And I was like, who are you? Me? No way. Like, what are you talking about? He's like, no, you're like my mentor. He's like, you're doing things that I want to do. You're, um, so here's a funny example of a weird opportunity. So I met this gal. She's a uh, wholesale real estate person. So it's not a realtor. It's like they're doing what a realtor does, but without a license. They're a wholesaler, and they're like, hey, she showed me a deal, and I was like, this thing needs a lot of work, and the person wouldn't come down to that price. But anyway, we met up later, and she's like, hey, I got this other deal, and since you're a contractor, it needs work, and they can't they the property was in such a position where it couldn't get a loan because like it wasn't livable at the time.
Yeah.
And so they hired me to make it livable. And then there were some utilities that there was some money owed on it. And it's like 1,200 bucks or so, 1,400 bucks that was owed on the power and the water. And the title company's trying to get this rectified, but like the nobody's got the money to pay for it. And uh, I was like, I'll do it, but I want interest on my money. I'm like, I want 20%. They go, well, you do 15. I said, fine, I'll do 15%. whatever. And yeah, fill out some paperwork. The title company gets it. And then yeah, when the home sold, you know, it was a few $100, but I was like, I'm always looking, you want
Yeah.
your dollars to make babies. And so I'm always looking for ways for the money to reproduce. But in that case, it worked. No, don't get me wrong. I've done deals where it didn't work, and you get screwed once in a while. But like, yeah, you're going it's real estate. When the deal closed, everything got paid for, and the little extras I did, the appraiser comes in, says, "Oh, you need this and this." Installed that. They paid everything. Everybody was really cool about paying me because. But anyway, like, but at the end of the day, they're like, we could not have made this deal happen without you, Rick. Like the things I fixed, the extra things I did, uh, the loan could only go so big. It was a weird real estate deal, and they're like, "Hey, we need to do this to the property, but there's no money in the loan for it, but we'll pay you." And everybody paid, and everything came clean, which I'm grateful for. Um, but like, those people got that deal, and I got a little piece of it because we all got together and
Yeah.
it worked. Um, but it's just it's interesting. There's always a deal out there. There's always something going on. But yeah, it was really cool to be a part of that real estate deal. And they're like, "We couldn't have done it without you, Rick." And I was like, "That is really cool that they got the house. I got to fix it and go from there."
Yeah.
But yeah, like, but there was a risk on my side, But I was like, "What if your loan fails?" Then the seller, they're like, "We got paperwork where he agrees to add it because now that it's livable, the increased value that he would agree to hold my position, So like a lot of things had to be lined up so I would take less of a risk in this deal. But
Yeah.
anyway, I don't know if that makes sense, but there's a lot of opportunity out there, folks, and that's kind of um,
It's funny that
what
the
I'm saying.
the orange on your shirt with the light really brings out the red hair and stuff on it.
Oh, does it?
Yeah.
This is a penaloric shirt.
Especially at the on the camera.
So yeah, during this past month, there was a T-shirt war going on. Home Depot gave me a shirt. I'm wearing Home Depot shirt at Lowe's. They're like, "You can't wear that here," and I was like, "Well, they gave it to me." So Lowe's is throwing a shirt at me, and then Penalorix, they're like, "You can't wear that shirt," and so they gave me a shirt. So I have lots of work shirts right now.
Yeah.
I like the T-shirt wars. It was kind of fun.
Um, similar story, but I went a different direction with it. I was telling my friend, he was one of my mentors, that hey, I'm broke, man. I don't have anything. This is in 2011,
Hmm.
and he goes, "You got a pressure washer, right?" Yeah. I said, "Put that thing in the car and go wash buildings." Hey, that's a good idea. And I built up quite a bit of clientele. The only building I didn't wash in this town is Walmart. I just didn't have the correct type of pressure washer I would need.
A mile long hose. Like, what do you need for Walmart to pressure wash it?
Yeah, well, they require a certain type of a bug spray with it and some other stuff. And yeah, now I'd go in and I'd do it. But back then it was godsend. I was making in 2011 700 to 1,000 a day.
Yeah, pressure wash it.
Yep. And at the end, yeah, I was soaked at the end of the day, but I got paid. I had two other guys working for me, and they were getting paid. And because opportunity, you got to just change your view sometimes, and get around people that are higher on the clear level thinking level, and that makes your goal goal income or higher because they say you are your five closest friends. Add up all the income of your uh, five close friends. That's where that bracket you're gonna live in if you keep going that way.
Yeah, I need new friends. Oh man. Um Jeez, there's awesome stuff going on. Um so let's go down a rabbit hole with you guys for a moment. I've talked about this a little bit before, and uh, I say we have two birth certificates. I know people are like, "What are you talking about, Rick?" And I was
Some people have three.
I was applying for a trust, and they go, "We need your birth certificate." So I sent them my birth certificate, and they're like, "Not that birth certificate, your other birth certificate." And I'm like, "What are you talking about? What is wrong with my birth certificate from the county?" And they're like, "Well, you need to get the one from the state." So I'm from California, and so I had to pay $30 and file for my birth certificate from the state. And I waited 2 months. The birth certificate came, and lo and behold, it's more like an addendum. There's another set of numbers on the upper left of my birth certificate. And they're like,
Yeah.
"Thank you. That's what we need." And I was like, "Why do you need these other numbers for?" Um, anyway, they're like, "Well, it's just the way we do our set up your trust." Um, so I'm going down this rabbit hole because this is like, uh, I mean, I'm familiar with some stuff, but like just conceptually, I've never, seen it in my, except in other persons that got me to kind of go down this rabbit hole. Um, so then they send me the trust, and I'm skimming through these 100 pages, and I turn one page, and it's like, you know, my trust, whatever, and one page is like my copyright from 1993. When I turned 18, I guess the state copyrights you. And I was like, "What?" And it's every variation of how I would use my name, the name, initials, this, that, like any variation of how you use your name, in probably 10 different ways. And it's copywritten. And I was like, "Who copywrote me from 1993?" I was like, "This is crazy." Um, and then I flip another page in it, and then there's the bond. And this is part fascinates me. And I don't know how to use it, but there's a bond in your name. And my state birth certificate has a number, and that same number is on my bond. And I was like, interesting. What a crazy rabbit hole to go down. Um, that we're all bonded.
Yep.
Now, the scary part of bonds is under the Uniform Commercial Code, bonds are transferable. We can be bought and sold. So when you get into how different countries work and how they move things around, they we may not notice that the owner changed, but under the Uniform Commercial Code, bonds can be bought and sold and traded to another
Okay, guys, you got
entity.
that? So we're gonna break into his house tonight,
Yeah,
and we're
good
gonna sell.
luck.
We're gonna sell Rick.
You're gonna sell me. But yeah, it's just a crazy rabbit hole. I was like, "Oh my gosh!" But now I have this bond, and I was like, "Okay." People think it's money because there's a big number on it. It's a I don't even know if I could say it on the air.
And then
And
there's
then there's
the
the
bond.
bond. The bond. Do you hear the echo? The bond. James Bond. I'm not that cool. Sorry, guys.
You're pretty cool.
uh,
Not as cool as the guy behind you, though.
I'm taking a tangent here. So I've had this song in my head this week. That I kissed a girl and I liked it.
What the?
Donnie, will you sing it to me using the word pickle?
No,
No.
no, sir. Absolutely will not.
Do it. Just do it for me.
No, no, sir.
I, we've
Does
been
not
doing.
compute.
We've got like some dill pickle chicken going on at Rick's, some dill pickle aioli sauce, and then we got some. The, anyway, somehow I was messing with the words, and Carrie was like, "Is this something I need to be concerned about?" Because I was trying to like sing the wrong version of it, and it came out way wrong. So
Yeah. Speaking of Rick's, it reminds me, do you own a business or accept credit cards? Most companies can take 2 days or more for funds to end up in their account. Many of them have extremely high rates and fees, especially with program or reward cards. Parallel economy. Get you your money the very next day. Sensor resistant payment processing with no monthly surcharges. Plus, there are no contracts, 24 by 7 merchant support, and they will match or beat your current rate. And they have rates as low as 1.49%. Switch to parallel economy today. Link in the description below.
Well, I got a few questions here from Teresa. She said, "Bring them on camera." On if you go to the Rixican Show or Rumble or whatever, you'll see everybody. If you're only seeing me only, then it's just on my Facebook thing, and I don't multitask well, so flipping things around, I'm like,
He's on
I
the
would fumble.
he's on YouTube, also on uh,
And then
Mexican show
the Rixican Show, YouTube,
X.
and X. Teresa, this is not just California. All 50 states do this. So your county sends the birth certificate to the state, and the state does an addendum to it and adds another set of numbers. The first three numbers is the state code. The second two numbers are the year you were born. And then the additional numbers is like, I don't know, the number of births in the state or, whatever. It's like four or five numbers. And that little code should get you to your bond.
Yes.
But it's still like I don't even know how to use it yet. But there's some SEC books that are like $400.
Yeah.
If you're interested in it, there's makefreedom.com. I think they set up my trust, and then Private Knights Consulting. Um, they teach you how to like use it. So I just got the first part set up, and I'm like, I don't even know how to use this thing yet. But they're basically structured like a bank. It's just it's a type of irrevocable Commonwealth trust, but these guys can place can pull the bond from the big bankers. I don't know what I can say without getting like deleted. But everyone's bond is held at the Federal Reserve, is my understanding, and that's what makes the T bills that they sell to China, Japan, and then that's what makes your mortgage when your bank talks to the Reserve Bank and they're like processed. They go debit 500,000, credit 500,000, and then they lend it to your bank for 4%. Your bank lends it to you for another 3% to get you that 7% interest. It's your bond that created that note, but they're charging you for your own instrument because it's not in your hands,
Yep.
is my understanding. So
Just like in war, when you injure a person, it's called collateral damage. They use all of our life's earnings as
collateral,
collateral.
that form of national security.
Yep.
It's security is money. It
Yep.
has nothing to do with your safety. Sucker. um, but yeah, but anyway, it's a weird rabbit hole to go down. I'm still processing what it all means. I mean, I've heard the theories on it, but it's also like, what do you do with it?
One of the things is to become a sovereign individual.
Yeah. So basically, boy, this is weird stuff. But anytime you vote, and they say fill in the box, color it in, put an X, whatever. Anyone that does that is deemed incompetent, illiterate, uneducated. And so when you vote, you're voting for someone to manage your affairs, your estate.
Your trust.
So by voting, you're giving your you're leaving your trust and the people to manage you comes from the state. But we're taught that that's a beautiful thing, the power of the vote, all these wonderful things that, you know, vote them out. We're so like, uh, our belief system is that voting is key. Um, and you could feel however you want about it. This is kind of a a weird topic to talk about, um, but you're voting for someone to manage you is what you're doing.
Yep.
And so if you set up a trust, it's my understanding that um, you can take many of your rights back and put it into the trust. The trust operates in the private sector. The public sector is where most of us are at. And you can go down many rabbit holes about corporations and how you're incorporated and, all this stuff. Because a corporation can only contract with another corporation.
Yep.
My corporation cannot run a red light. Neither can yours. So it's kind of a funny,
That's why if you look at any of your documents that you have, your driver's license, your credit cards, it's written in all capital letters,
yeah,
establishing an entity there which the government can actually exchange commerce with, because they can't technically um, do commerce with us as individuals. So they created a way to create us all as private entities.
yeah. So I guess the capital letters and how letters are structured and punctuation. Now, I'm a terrible speller, so don't ask me to do this for you. But it's called syntax. Syntax. Am I pronouncing that right? Syntax. And yeah, so corporations are all capital letters. So when you go to court, there's in everything, your name is all capital letters. You look at the dollar bill, the United States of America, all capital letters. These are corporate entities, and they'll be like, state your name for the record. Just happens to be your corporate ID, identity, and your name are the same. They they've made a twin,
Yep.
and
Let's
there's
call it the straw man.
the straw man, but they base it off when you were it's kind of like a weird dark thing from my understanding. It's right, your mother's a vessel, right? She goes to berth, meets with the dock master to take the cargo, right? All vessels are female, and right, she bears a child, right? Gives the dock master, and the dock master's like, "Can I cut the umbilical cord?" And you're like, "Cut the umbilical cord." Eh, they're claiming, or at least this was one theory that I heard. They're claiming that the other side of the umbilical cord to the placenta is your twin, and your twin died. And they're like, well, let's incorporate that guy, but we'll name him the same as the living. And anyway, they have this weird thing that goes on. So anyway, you live in a dualistic system, but you have no idea it's dual. And so we run around doing our thing. So I know it's way out there. I know it's crazy for some people. Like, what are you talking about? But uh, so yeah, it's the maritime law. So law, land, air, water. Most of what we're governed by is by water, the law of water, a bank, currency, everything. You go to court, your judge, bonds, whatever. It's all based off the law of water. The law of the land which is like the highest form of law, the common law isn't available to you. To perform that, it's my understanding that Puerto Rico, Virgin Islands, and like maybe the District of Columbia are the only courts that are common law. All the rest of them are maritime law, corporate corporate law. So anytime they violate the Constitution, it I mean, it should matter, but it doesn't matter because it's corporations contracting with corporations. They've bypassed it. So sometimes I don't explain myself clearly. People think I'm like that's evil, Rick. How can you believe that? It's not matter what I believe. It's just things that are happening, and I
It's just truth.
I try to look at it from the top down as unopinionated as I can be. I mean, I have my opinions, but it's so like shocking that I'm like I don't even know what to do with this. And the only evidence I have is, you know, oh, I got extra set of numbers on my birth certificate from the state. Oh, I got a copyright. Oh, when you're born is financial. When you're married, marriage is a bond. When you're this, everything is crazy. And so I'm like, okay, sit back, let's process this. and see what's going on. But the idea is not to delete your public status. There is a group of people out there that try to do that sovereign citizen thing. You see the shows and they're like, I'm a sovereign citizen. You can't do that to me. You don't want to delete anything because all business is conducted in that area.
Yep.
So you start deleting stuff and you're like, have fun getting a bank account. Have fun, doing this and that.
Getting a mortgage.
Yeah, have fun doing all this stuff. You're deleting things. You don't want to delete anything. You just want to change the manager from the state to the trust. And you go to court, there's a bond there. You go to jail, there's a bond. What do you think pays for your prison time? It's your bond. Your bond is converted into money and it's paid through your bond. Um, you know, to get bailed out, a bail's bond, right? They pay a little small fraction to secure stuff, but you know, I, I, I guess there's people that say they go to court. I mean, I don't go to court because, you know, I'm a nice guy. Yeah, I, I don't
Mm,
really go to court for anything, so there's a lot I don't know about it. But my understanding is, you can request the bond records from the court. Go, can I see the bond that was created? And, oh, here's the bond. This is how we get paid. Things they don't want to show you. Um, so anyway, there's a lot of stuff going on. But anyway, I'm just in shock that I have two birth certificates. I have a friend. She's like, I was adopted. I found my second birth certificate, and I was like, this is different. This is different because you have the birth certificate from the state, or sorry, from the county, and when they send it to the state, there's an addendum. There's an add-on of numbers there. So it's really, really interesting to watch that and that process and what those numbers. You can follow that trail, right? And that'll get you to the bond at the Federal Reserve. So it's like crazy. Why do they need that? Because that is the wealth and value of the country.
yeah.
So it's 100-year bond. So what happens if you die before you reach 100 years old?
It can still be bought and sold.
That your bond could be bought and sold. It can be traded, and there's people that fight over it.
Yep.
So yeah, there's a whole game being played behind your back. It's a crazy conspiracy. If you're bored, it's a fun rabbit hole to go down, and it's probably a difficult one to research because like I didn't know what they were talking about when I started. I just knew I needed a birth certificate from the state. Uh, I call it a second birth certificate, but really it's just an addendum uh, that's added. Now, if you served in the military, you might have a third, another set of numbers on yours.
Yeah.
And that's a whole nother rabbit hole. You get into jurisdiction. Um, but if you want to, I can paint you a picture of it if you don't mind hanging in this crazy rabbit hole. So, um, when you get out of the military, you're supposed to be escorted back to your home of record, but there's only a very few people are escorted back to their home of record.
Yeah, I wasn't.
No, the only people escorted back to their home of record are the ones that die,
Hmm.
right? They get off the plane, there's soldiers there, and they escort them back to their family. Those are the only ones that are brought back officially to their home of record. Everyone else, we live in this dualistic like system again. So my jurisdiction is with NATO or the EU. So basically, my jurisdiction is out of the country. And
Wow.
Congress does this for a reason. Because do you guys know what a DD 214? Department of Defense 214. It's a document you get when you served, and it states whether you're honorable,
Yeah.
unhonorable, or whatever. Um, what type of jurisdiction do you think you have if your records state that you're honorable? Who else do they call honorable?
Judges.
All rise, the honorable judge, da 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 da. You all rise. So, if they allowed you to come back to your home of record, your jurisdiction is equal to the judge. Like family court, they couldn't take your kids away from you because you're like, hey, I'm an honorable person too, and you're an honorable person. So my authority is either equal to or greater than yours because you're, the maritime admiralty law, and this is something else. Anyway, so there's some theories on that, and like I'm still processing it because you can go to court now and argue it tooth and nail, and they probably don't know what we're talking about. So you still go to jail. Don't collect $200. So, but yeah, it's an interesting concept. So they they attach us to the VA, and the VA gives us our benefits. And if you criticize the VA, right, you're an evil person. You don't love veterans. Now, so it's kind of a funny thing, but ideally, you should be escorted back to your home of record and reintegrated back into society as an honorable person, as a lord, as a whatever. But we don't really use terms like that anymore. you know, but it's interesting. So they purposely kind of keep us back from being escorted um, back to our home of record. And I don't fully understand that because it's a word game. And I don't, I'm like, what does that mean? And in some cases, words are very important, but in our daily public lives, we can kind of free speech. We can say whatever we want, and it um, uh, doesn't always matter what we say. We could be on Facebook and we can all be keyboard warriors and say whatever we want. And there's really no repercussion. But I guess in the legal sense, in the trust world, the treaty world, you know, the I guess the way things are really done, words are very, very important. So that's something that I'm still processing. This is a big rabbit hole to go down because I'm like, what does all this mean? What can this do for me? Is this helpful? Is it unhelpful? It's but anyway, uh I still have a lot to learn, but it's Donnie has to go to the bathroom with crutches and he's whacking the door. It's awesome. Uh but anyway. Is that stuff crazy, guys? Is this crazy? It's crazy stuff, isn't it? That you have additional numbers on your birth certificate from the county to the state. So uh but anyway, uh I mean, I've heard a lot of conspiracies, but this one is interesting. But then when I got my state birth certificate, sure enough, had those numbers. And the guy setting up my trust were like, awesome, we can move forward now. And I was like, okay. So it's interesting. It's something I don't think very, very few people know anything about. Um, so anyway, I'm trying not to be, I don't claim to know very much about it. It just, I'm on this journey and I was like, well, this is interesting to me. So I thought I'd share it with you guys. Um, that my county birth certificate is different than my state birth certificate. Additional set of numbers on there that correspond with stuff. Crazy, crazy. Um, I've had a pretty exciting month, right? I've been busy working, doing a bunch of stuff, and I've been talking to some people. And uh, sometimes people like to debate, and somehow I get sucked into these debates. And I'm like, I don't think I'm a very great debater by any means because it's like you try to understand their position. Um, and I constantly say, like Democrat, Republicans, we are slaves at the bottom arguing. We're at the bottom. We're at the bottom. Um, we're peasants at the bottom arguing. And if you strip us all down, we all want the same thing, right? We want a good place to live that's affordable, good, healthy food. We all want, you know, to work and pay our own way. Like we all want kind of the same thing. And I'm like, why are we fighting so much? So it kind of blows my mind that we're so busy uh, picking on each other. It's like, who's shaking the jar and making us fight? And I mean, we all kind of know who it is. You start looking up and you see how we're all kind of programmed. But I've had as I guess as time goes on, I've had the opportunity, I guess, more and more to kind of deprogram myself from it because you know if you have a belief system, that belief system came from somewhere, like it was introduced somewhere somehow, and so you can kind of begin to see how you've I guess been brainwashed, indoctrinated, whether it's through family, whether it's through the TV, whatever. We're bombarded with information, and it creates a certain belief system. And I was like, man, it's not always easy to unwrap that belief system because, like, if you have a false belief, how do you know? You know, how do you know where the lie is in it? It's tough to, you know, to navigate that belief system. So it's very interesting. But anyway, I talk to a lot of people, and sometimes I'm talking to them, and you know, I see that they have a certain belief system. I mean, I have my biased beliefs or whatever, and we're talking, and I try to see where they're coming from. And you know, I think a good way of explaining it, is you know the manager type person, right? They like walls, borders, they like this stuff, and then you have the other side, and they're open borders, open this and that, and it's like a manager and an artist. They kind of you team them up because the system works well with them teamed up, but you never know when is the right time to make the rule change in the system. Take away right or wrong for a minute, but like when should one move one way or another way? And that's the big debate as you make rules and laws. And so sometimes I'm like, well, whether it creates balance or different things, it's interesting to me to watch and be like, okay, you know, you can have a liberal that's more open minded and wants all this stuff, and you have a manager that's like, this is the way we've done it, the conservative side. And so I'm like, okay, I could see the value of both sides because you know that it's just the mindset, the way it's framed. And I'm like, okay, that's no big deal. But then I try to look higher than that, and I look down and be like, oh, we're just a bunch of peasants fighting left and right. It's crazy. It's crazy. Why are we fighting? We really need to come together. And I have not figured out how to do it. Otherwise, I'd tell you how to do it. I mean, I could say we got to come together and put a lot of those things aside.
Yeah.
Who's shaking the jar? Sometimes you see the hand shaking it, but you can't get all the way up to see the face, or
Yeah.
it's delegated. Go kick that kid. So it's tough. It's tough to navigate. Um,
I have a question for you.
Words are important. Yep, words are very important, and I say the wrong words all the time.
I got a question for you. Is your car running a little sluggish,
Yes, it
or
is.
or maybe you don't feel that it has all the power that it needs? Something's wrong. Well, Brothers Automotive in Moses Lake is one of the cheapest and best automotive repair shops around. 761-9744. Again, 509-761-9744. No job too big, no job too small. Brothers Automotive, 509-761-9744. Call them up and they'll get you a deal today. Just tell them Rick sent you.
Yeah. It says words are important. Bring them on camera. If you're on Show, you won't just see me. If you just see me, you're on my Facebook Live.
Yeah, YouTube and
Yeah, YouTube, Show, on
Facebook.
X.
Uh,
Yeah. But if you're on my personal account, you just get to see my ugly face. You're welcome.
I think it might be actually the Rick's website you're on. Rick's page.
How am I on Rick's? Oh, maybe. I don't know.
I'm looking.
I should be on Rick, my personal one. If not, sorry guys. Um. Oh, so anyway, so at Rick's, I get to talk to a lot of amazing people and a lot of different ideas. And I was talking to this lady, and she was very passionate about about children and the abuses that go on, women's rights, and all that stuff. And I was like, yeah, that's good, but it's like there's a part of it where it's like Rick, you don't understand because you're a man. And I was like, well, you're probably right there too. There's a lot I don't understand. And, and um, eh, afterwards, I was like, man, that was a kind of a tough conversation. I was kind of on the defense the whole time, but it's like, man, uh, you know, because at the end I was challenged that you could do better as a man. You could do better. You could do better. And I was like, well, what is happening? Like, how did I get cornered and just like slapped around just for, being a man? And I get there's a lot I don't understand because I mean, we're born in the situation we're in, but um, it's weighed on my mind a little bit because I was like, man, there's a lot of passionate people that have come and experienced some dark things in life. Um, by the hands of a man. And it's tough. It's tough. And then I have to process, go, how would I stand up, you know, where this person felt they couldn't? And I was like, man, that's tough. That's tough. Because we live in a society where we're like, you know, you, you're trying to please people. We're trying to, right? Words are important, right? I'm trying to watch what I say so I don't offend
Yeah.
too many people. And I don't intentionally mean to offend people, but I've offended like people. And I'm like,
Yeah.
wow, they were offended by that? I go, that's interesting. Um, because I was like, man, if they spent time with me, they would probably realize I'm not as big of a jerk as they think I am. I'm like, they really think I'm that big of a jerk? And I was
I do.
like, wow, that's interesting. But that's, when you're out in view of the world, you're going to take some heat. And it's not always easy to take some heat. And if I kind of, one of the ways I cope with it is I kind of live in my own little bubble because that way I don't have to, I can deflect the criticisms at times. Otherwise, it'd just be a ton of information and it's bombarding. And you're like, I got to live my life in a way that's somewhat authentic to me, the best I can. Um, but it's interesting. I mean, I see Sean Salas is on the show, so I mean, he's helped putting Springfest together, and um, on social media, there's been some, I guess, miscommunications about you know a he said she said thing going on in terms of some vendors and stuff, and it was like, uh, you know, I mean, they're like, for whatever reason, people are taking heat and people are coming up with opinions, uh, not having all the information.
Yes.
So it's very interesting, and they're going to do it. We live in a very reactionary society uh, where it's difficult for us to recognize what the truth is. And it was interesting. I'd be scrolling through and be like, oh, you know, they're, you know, they're supporting this group and they're supporting that group, and you kind of see the battle continue. And then even when potentially as much truth comes out about it, people are, still like, I still side with this group or that group. I was like, why do we have to take sides? Can't we just observe for what it is and be like, oh, this is a misunderstanding?
Yeah.
You know,
Let's get along, dang it.
yeah, and I'm sure many things could have been compromised, come to a compromise or worked out, but but I deal with it. If you're in business, you deal with all sorts of misunderstandings.
Yep.
Um, things I say. So my jokes sometimes uh, uh, are very offensive. I don't think they are, but I mean, I've offended people with my dry humor walking by. We had these three guys from out in Mardon fishing. They came into town and were fishing, whatever. And they come into Rick's, and one of them orders a margarita. So when I served him his margarita, these tough guys, I go, "Here you go, sweetheart." And to me, I'm just being light. I have no intention, no whatever. I don't know, for some reason, so I say stupid things, calling him sweetheart or whatever. Anyway, he was terribly offended in front of his friends that I, called him sweetheart. But And maybe I get a kick out of it. Sometimes friends will laugh at each other, or they'll respond back. Don't get me wrong. If it came down to a game of chicken, I would chicken out. But but I'm just kind of snarky that way and having fun or whatever. But yeah, I
Yeah,
offended this guy.
I can get away with
Donnie probably could. He could say the worst of the worst thing.
it.
Maybe he probably reads people better than me, but I'm just out there having fun in my own little bubble and spitting things off my tongue, and wham, I'm gonna offend somebody. Some farmers can take it, some farmers can't. Like it's just.
Yeah,
But I'm just like that's just who I am. Try to joke around a little bit, and
that's just the way it is.
yeah, yeah.
Some things never change.
I lost all my dignity in the army. Oh man, they have a good way of kind of changing who you are a little bit because it if you like space, boy, they pack you in like sardines and they will line you up
Oh yeah.
nut to butt, line you up tight, and they'll be and everyone's trying to have a personal space, but no, bring it in, boys, bring it in, and you're like, drill sergeant, this is kind of weird. Doesn't matter.
I'm
Yeah.
feeling kind of tingly downstairs.
They all my dignity's gone, guys. It's all flushed down the toilet. But yeah, I mean, everyone experiences different things, and it just you know, now you have make new friends and new relationships, and you're expected to do things that normally you wouldn't get to do. It's like, oh, time to take a shower, get under the tree of life, all naked. Like, okay, great. It's. I mean, some people do it in the locker room. Some people have more privacies, but it's like all that stuff stripped away. You know, they
Guess what?
they torture you.
Rumble's done updating, so
Oh, hey,
we can
now we
use
got
that
a
on
rumble
Monday.
again. Oh man, yeah, lost my dignity in the army. They make you do all sorts of stupid stuff. Sleeping in army trucks and driving.
Did you see you slap on the top ones?
Slept on top of a truck. Oh yeah, slept on top of Humvees, whatever. So I drove a huge truck. The largest wheeled vehicle in the military is called a het, and it's 48 wheels, and the trailer wheels are a set of four, so there's eight total, but they turn as the truck turns, so we can get through the security checkpoints. We got a serpentine in, and that trailer will swing with you as you turn. The back wheels of the trailer, it's like 5 degrees. The front wheels, and then on its way back are like 45 degrees. There's a hydraulic system in the trailer.
Yeah.
So there was a guy in town a couple days ago came into Rick's and he was like, "Oh, um, I'm managing the escort of this huge generator, 17 feet tall, whatever, 17 feet wide, and they had to stop for a couple days till a certain road was cleared so they can get through the pass to Seattle to get it on a boat and get it out of here." Coming in from Canada, right? So
Yeah.
he's stuck here for a couple days, and he's like, "Yeah, the trailer wheels pivot and turn," and I was like, "Oh, like this truck?" And he goes, "Yeah, kind of like that truck." He's like, "You get it." You get it. He's like, I can't explain this to anybody. So I shared some army stories and whatnot, but yeah, 48 wheels. That's a lot of wheels to carry an M1 Abrams. Um, we were driving down the road once in the Middle East, and I was in the back seat, which is good because I'm a terrible driver. But the kid in the front seat, he starts spinning that wheel to the right, to the left, to the left. No slide, baby. The steering wheel came off the steering mount, and he's like, "What do I do?" And I'm like, "Dude, hit the brakes." We go into oncoming traffic, and then it goes back into the lane, and then just as he's pressing the brakes, it just goes right into the shoulder. And I was like, I could not imagine if we hit somebody 260,000 pounds of freedom just rolling over whoever's in front of us. Our truck rigs are about a foot taller than a big rig because we got these huge like tractor tires on them.
Wow.
They're geared like super low because we take these things like off road. Um, But anyway, it's like that was crazy. I've never seen a steering wheel come off ever in my life. Like, thank you, cheapest bidder. But these big hits, man, there's something else. But like, you know, it was a crazy experience, but we reset the wheel, put the nut back on, and continued mission. And then when Abrams on the back, losing control on the road, they would be driving us like crazy too. We'd be doing like, you know how truck drivers are supposed to drive like 10 hours and then take a break. In the military, you just keep driving.
Yep.
We'd be working, get 4 hours of sleep, back driving, 4 hours of sleep. And after about a week, you'll be seeing all these guys nodding off while they drive. I go, the Army is crazy. Like, why? We're in training. We're not even at war, but why would they push us and push us and push us? You know, they'd be like, all right, get off work. And they're like, we'll see you back in 6 hours. So I still got to get home. I still got to eat dinner. I still got to, and you get back and you're back in the truck hauling tanks. Like, it's a grind.
Yeah.
And I mean, there was a time I was up for like 36 hours straight,
Dang.
and I had to drive my commander home. And man, it was like an hour and a half drive. And I'm like, sir, I'm falling asleep. He's like, don't you dare fall asleep. I'm like, yes, sir. I'm driving. I'm like trying not to nod off. And I was like, man, it was a struggle. But I mean, you're conditioning yourself to know what it's like to push through when you're tired. Because when the lead starts flying, you have to keep going no matter what, no matter how exhausted you are, no matter how fogged up your brain is, you have to continue mission. And so I'm so grateful I don't have to push myself like that anymore. But it's like, what a wild, you know, experience to just have to, they push you days and days, to do that. Um, but anyway, it's just, you're voluntold and you do what you're told. And it's kind of a weird lifestyle.
Period.
Excuse me. It's crazy lifestyle in the military.
I'm friends with a lot of truck drivers because a few of my family members do it. And
My nose is itching.
did you know there's such a thing as a 10-mile nap?
A 10-mile nap.
Yeah, for semi truck drivers.
Downhill.
Yeah.
Hey, back awake again.
I don't know how they do it, but yeah, 10-mile nap.
Crazy times. But yeah, it's crazy. One cool thing, and I don't know if I can take credit for this or not. This is more military stuff, but um, the the new the Hets that we're driving, the 48 wheeled vehicle. I asked them, we're having trouble when we're in the middle of the desert. Sometimes the tractor would go down and we'd have to load up the tractor, but we had to load another trailer on a trailer. And the ramps only gave us like 2 inches between the wheels um, to go up the ramp. And if the wheel set or bogey fell off, it would hit the brake chamber, it'd blow it out.
Yeah.
And then we'd be like, drag it off, chain it up, and try it again. It takes like 45 minutes to load a trailer on a trailer. So I tried to talk to the Army, and excuse me, they were like, yeah, whatever, we don't care. And and I tried to talk to another thing, and I said, you know what, I'm just going to call the manufacturer. So I called the manufacturer, and I was like, is there any way you can just widen that ramp 6 inches? It would be night and day. Or when we're in the middle of the desert and things are going boom and puff and lead zipping around, I was like, we can load that trailer in 15 minutes and get out of there and not spend 45 minutes on the ground fighting this thing. Um, anyway, I got out of the military, and what do you know? 8 years later, the new the new trailer's out, 6 inches wider. And I was like, did I have anything to do with that? I wonder, I wonder. Um, but uh I wonder how many like lives will be saved off that one little piece of info. Um, yeah, I don't know. I knew when I talked to the guy, he said our equipment review with the military was in 6 months. Then it takes probably years, and then as they come out with the new stuff, several years later, I saw a picture and I was like, oh my gosh, they have the wider ramps. This is really cool. Did they do it because the M1 Abrams got bigger, or did they do it because
You
Rick
asked
said
him to.
something? Because I asked him to. I don't have the answer to that, but the guys were like, couldn't believe the conversation when I called him. I said, yeah, when we load a trailer on a trailer, he goes, why are you loading a trailer on a trailer? Why don't you use a crane? And I'm like, I'm in the middle of the desert. You know, I'm not at the port where they got cranes. We're in the middle of the desert and things are breaking on us and things are going boom. And like, like we're, we have this struggle, you know,
Yeah,
and they don't like to leave equipment behind. So we're like trying to, how do you get your people and the equipment out of there? Um, and we need to do it quickly.
yeah,
To
agreed.
spend an hour while leads flying is not fun at all. Um, so anyway, I in the back of my mind, I'll always wonder. I'll just take credit for it. It's me. It's me. I'll always wonder in the back of my mind, like, did I have influence on
Wait,
that?
Dad?
Yeah.
Oh, sorry.
Yes. Um, but you never know, you know, what influence you have indirectly if maybe it was several things. Maybe it was the new tank needed wider tracks. Maybe, it was this or that, for whatever reason, the stars aligned and the process came through and now they have a wider ramp. And, when things go boom and things are breaking and you got to get your stuff, if it saves lives, I was like, huh, potentially, I had a piece of that process
It was all you.
because I took the time to say something. Now, I was counseled not to say anything. My leadership was like, you're wasting your time, Rick. And I said, maybe, but I at least want to be heard. And then they could throw it in the trash can if they want. But that's my nature is like, the entrepreneur in me is like, no, the process needs to be heard. And then they can decide to throw it in the trash can.
Yeah,
Um, and so that was like, but that's just who I am. Like, you know, it could be offensive to people because, like, if I'm at another restaurant, I meet the owner, sometimes I'll say my opinion and it might not be pleasant. I mean, I say it as nice as I can, but I
yeah,
was like, hey, I notice your food runs a bit salty. Like, is there a reason for that? Because, like, you know, salt's kind of a funny thing. Uh,
yeah,
I mean, we season our fries here, but I'm like, there may be people that are like, no seasoning, or no salt, or, so we try to keep things as plain as possible and
yeah.
you salt it.
Speak of which, are you hungry? Do you not have plans for dinner tonight? How about coming on down to Rick's Eatery on 3rd Avenue, 819 West 3rd Avenue? Rick's has uh, lots of video games, pool tables, and a friendly personality to help serve you anything you're looking for, whether it's adult beverages or just a soda to hang out with your friends because you're a designated driver. Come on down to Rick's, try some of their new products. Rick, what kind of products have you introduced recently?
Oh man, great question, Donnie. Thank you. Like this was planned. No. um,
It wasn't.
Actually, I just came up with a monthly insert menu. We're like a week behind on it, but it's going in for this month. And we have pizza. I finally
Yes, finally.
got the staff to like, okay, we're gonna do a cheese pizza, and you can kind of build your own toppings on that. And then we've got a margarita pizza, and then cheese margarita. I spaced it, and then probably a pepperoni pizza, and then. But anyway, you have like your basic pizzas, but then you could add some toppings.
Heck yeah.
Um, and then we're doing the Baja Bowl again,
Yes.
which is really good.
Really good.
But we're doing a variety of flavors this time
Yeah.
because I'm like, I just want the Baja Bowl because it's carne asada, the tomatillo ranch. It's got rice, black beans, grated cheese, jalapenos, and then you put lettuce on top. So it's kind of like this rice salad bowl. Um, but anyway, but then the gals went to the food convention And now I have all these ideas. So now we have a peach mango salsa bowl. You could pick shrimp or chicken. They
Nice.
got a poblano steak one. The a carne asada one will have tomatillo ranch. But anyway, so you got Baja bowls. We got a few desserts now, and then I put on there the bacon habanero jam burger, which is really good if you like a little sweet and spicy burger. That's like my favorite. I put the shrimp taco on it. Just whatever my secret menu items are that we make that no one knows about, I threw those on there. But anyway, I was struggling with the menu maker and I would save it and it would delete stuff when I saved it. And I was going nuts and I'd redo it. And I was finally like, print. And I ran and made it. And then the gals were like, you misspelled onion in this part. And you misspelled you misspelled poblano. And I was like, I don't care. I'm so over this. Just get it out to the people. So um, after all my proofreaders edited it, I get a call at Staples, and I'm like, I just spent $40 on these inserts. I'm over it. I'm so over it.
Next time, just print one, and then have it proofread, and then print them all.
Well, I kind of did, but it wasn't a thorough review. But I think because I kept when I saved it, the things kept getting deleted. I kept having to add and add. So no matter what they edited for me, I kept adding human error to it.
Yeah.
But anyway, I should offer like $1 off if you could find all 5 misspellings. Like, but I'm just like a terrible speller anyway. And they're like, by the way, you misspelled this. I was like, man. But yeah, as I kept having to, but anyway, I won't say the program that I was using. It's for one of my suppliers. But I was like, I am using a different program next time. Because when I save it and then I can see just parts of it just delete, I go, what? And have to click the back arrow and it'd come back. And like, I was just like so mad by the time I was done. I was like, man, uh, they had some cool things, but anyway, so
It's awesome. So come on down to Rick's, get fed.
yeah,
The kids can be here till 9. Have a little area that's family friendly.
yeah.
Yeah. So just come on down. If you haven't tried it before, try it tonight.
Yeah, the shrimp tacos and the Baja Bowl, it'll probably start next week, but they're really good. It's that Baja fresh flavor.
Yes.
Super good. We did it last year and the people that tried it loved it, but I didn't get a lot of people coming out to try it. And I was like, what is wrong with this town? They don't know what they're missing. This stuff is so good. So we're gonna try it again, see how it goes. But if we do macaroni and cheese, 1,000 people show up. I was like, mac and cheese for the win. So I'm doing my best to compete with macaroni and cheese, but macaroni and cheese is a hit. But the Baja Bowls are super good. But anyway, but I can't predict human nature, and I can't base everything off what I like. But at the same time, I'm like, these are really good. Um, but that's how it goes. Anyway, folks, that's my time. I got to get back to work.
Yes, sir.
I got to find some plumbing leaks and some other things. So, um, got lots to do today. But thanks for joining us. We went down some conspiracies and shared some stories with you. Um, I didn't get very political today. I've been kind of over it. I was like, the madness is crazy. Uh, so let's find time to bring people together
Monday, what what is it? 11 or 12?
for Monday.
12 works best for me.
Well, let's do 12.
All
Monday,
right.
12. We'll be back on.
Yes. Thanks a lot, folks.
All right. This is Rick, your host, signing out. Thank you, Donnie, and your crutches and your wheelchair.
I won't.